They assumed she was simply a technician, an unremarkable pair of hands holding equipment, nothing beyond that. But standing on that platform while interference diminished and reception improved, she intercepted something she was never authorized to hear, and it shifted everything. Within less than 1 minute, what appeared to be routine maintenance became a desperate scramble against the clock, and the solitary individual with the capability to prevent the assault wasn't even supposed to be working that day. Before this continues, which location in the world are you viewing from currently? Leave it in the comments section. We appreciate seeing how broadly these accounts distribute. If you think that genuine heroes often go unnoticed among ordinary people, ensure you appreciate this video and follow us so you never overlook our upcoming material. The morning sun was just beginning to illuminate the rough edges of combat Outpost Raven when Specialist Jennifer Brooks positioned her weathered equipment bag across her back. She wasn't a combat soldier. She wasn't a tactical operative. Her career path was as distant from recognition as possible. Signal apparatus maintenance. Jennifer had established herself for a single characteristic: restoring systems quicker than anyone else and accomplishing it with minimal communication. She appreciated machinery over conversation, technical systems over administrative concerns. This is precisely why when the Western transmission dishes began releasing static into the operations band at 0540 hours, her identity was selected automatically. "Brooks, get your equipment." "Western section," the signal officer instructed, without directing his gaze upward from his screen. By 0552, she was ascending the concluding metal stairway to the uppermost section of the 5-story installation. The environment was frigid and harsh, gusts driving against the plastic barriers stacked beside the platform's perimeter. The dish's receiver, ordinarily a motionless guardian directing outward, was rotated slightly awry, oscillating in the wind currents. She crouched near the connection point, mechanisms softly clattering in the early quiet. The hiss of static filled her listening device as she inserted herself into the system. "Center, this is Brooks at Western Section starting system analysis." An authoritative response crackled through. Understood. No immediate concern. Most likely environmental interference. Yet Jennifer comprehended the truth. She had detected the subtle erratic disturbance in the reception as she'd moved upward. Not environmental causes, not climatic factors, something alternate. She removed the protective covering, her covered hands proceeding with automatic proficiency. The internal connection was operational. The frequency controller exhibited no visible malfunction. She manipulated the regulation knob. The static vanished, and then she halted completely. Conversations not originating from her installation, not through their protected system. Subdued, calculated, employing linguistic patterns she'd exclusively encountered during training sessions. Convoy penetration. Elimination point at 0730. Blocking position already organized. Mortars will be positioned on southern high ground. Her respiration froze. She examined her timepiece. 0730. That represented under 2 hours remaining. She verified the transmission band again. This represented an unintended overlap. This represented hostile correspondence leaking directly into their primary communications infrastructure because the receiver's positioning had adjusted precisely enough to catch it. Her pulse accelerated as the voices proceeded. Primary goal, Alpha Convoy. Confirmation, Alpha Convoy. Secondary goal, eliminate command rank individual. Code Eagle Command. Jennifer didn't require roster verification. Eagle Command referred to General Christopher Stone, authority of the entire district. He maintained scheduling to inspect the Alpha Convoy trajectory that morning. She extracted her documentation tablet and commenced documenting each element. A silhouette appeared across her workspace. She pivoted, breathing suspended. Corporal Marcus from the observation structure was bending over the platform's rim. "Brooks, what are you performing?" Central indicated environmental damage. Simply reposition it and descend immediately. Her consciousness worked rapidly. If she communicated presently, established procedures would mandate transmitting the awareness upward through 3 separate command levels. By that moment, the convoy would be progressing straight into a death trap. Nearly completed, she shouted upward, compelling her voice to stay level. The opposing voices kept operating in her device, providing terrain references. Currently, she recognized the location, a transport corridor just past the Ridge Valley. Confined space, ideal for an organized surprise attack. She could perceive them communicating amongst themselves with satisfaction. She secured the covering, keeping the receiver marginally misaligned, preserving the connection. She shut her equipment container, commencing her descent. Marcus appeared perplexed. "You haven't repositioned it. I must inspect the western gateway," she fabricated. But she wasn't heading to the gateway. She was proceeding toward General Stone. The difficulty, Stone didn't identify her. She was a specialist within the communications division, merely another unremarkable person in the facility. The sole approach to reach him involved bypassing the complete organizational structure. And if her assessment was incorrect, she'd be facing military trial before sunset. As she progressed toward the administrative section, soles making noise on the unpaved ground, her listening device activated again. "Confirm hostile vehicles in position by 0710. All personnel prepared." She tightened her grip on the equipment bag. She wasn't simply restoring communications anymore. She was about to prevent a conflict before it developed or be labeled the specialist who delivered false warnings. The administrative section of Outpost Raven embodied turbulent efficiency. Devices hummed, footsteps reverberated on metallic gratings. The fragrance of concentrated beverages and arid terrain permeated the environment. Specialist Jennifer Brooks maintained a reduced appearance as she moved past the opening inspection, gripping her bag like a connection to reality. Every instinct urged her to simply sprint into General Stone's chamber and express everything immediately. However, within the armed structure, circumventing organizational hierarchy equaled throwing yourself onto an explosive device. She didn't consider it. She pivoted toward the operations section, yet a voice halted her path. "Brooks, you lack clearance for this location." Major Trevor, a compact man displaying an unending grimace, obstructed her path. His attention shifted to her identification marker: Communications Apparatus Maintenance. Indeed. "You should be on the exterior." Obviously, Jennifer's consciousness raced. "Major, I detected an unencrypted conversation." Trevor elevated his palm. "File a documented notice and expect processing. That constitutes the requirement." "Processing?" She glanced at the wall chronometer. 0614. If she participated in processing, the hostile elements would establish their attack framework before her notification even departed the desk. "Major, with deference, they're preparing an organized assault on the Alpha convoy. And with deference, Specialist, you're overstepping." His expression became severe. "Without maximum authority clearance, you don't approach a general's chamber with unverified information." Her grip on the bag intensified so thoroughly she imagined the metal connection might deform. She made a tactical retreat, or presented that appearance. Back in the passage, she slipped into a storage chamber and retrieved her documentation tablet. Each terrain reference she documented on the exterior stared back at her. She extracted the minimal field receiver from her bag. Its transmission capability was restricted, yet sufficient to reach one of the convoy's accompanying apparatus if she could determine the accurate wavelength. Static noise emerged in her device, subsequently rapid conversation. "Convoy Alpha, this is Outpost Base. Departure confirmed for 0700. Her cardiac response increased. They were currently preparing departure. She adjusted to the classified band and triggered the transmitter. "Alpha 3, this is Comm Support 1. Are you receiving?" A hesitation, subsequently a cautious response. "This is Alpha 3. Identify yourself. Jennifer Brooks, Specialist. Communications Apparatus Maintenance. You're heading toward an organized assault. Ridge Valley, South High Ground. Opposition vehicles prepared by 0710. I repeat, cancel route. Static silence. Subsequently, the communication returned. Tense. Specialist. That constitutes a substantial allegation. Authentication. She ingested hard. Origin represents myself. Just captured it, filtering through our Western receiver. No capability to authenticate via leadership. You must reverse course immediately. An additional hesitation. This one extended. Acknowledged. Comm support 1. Awaiting additional communication. She barely possessed opportunity to breathe before the storage chamber entrance was pulled open. Trevor occupied the doorway, accompanied by military enforcement personnel. Specialist Brooks, you are hereby detained for violation of protocol and prohibited communication. The officers seized her limbs before she could articulate resistance. Your device fell to the ground. You imagine you can function as a champion? Trevor expressed mockingly. You might be distributing fabricated intel into a mobile convoy. They're traveling into an assault, she retaliated, struggling against the force on her extremities. If you hold for confirmation, they'll be eliminated. Sufficient, Trevor commanded. Officers contain her. At 0648, Alpha 3's lead equipment rolled toward the canyon entry. Jagged stone faces climbed on each direction, shadow increasing in the dawn illumination. From the turret, Sergeant Riley examined the high ground through magnification lenses and halted suddenly. Vehicle mechanics partially submerged in dust precisely where the peculiar specialist had specified. He triggered his communication. Alpha 1, maintain position. We have apparatus in the assault point. Verify movement on the southern ridge. A hesitation subsequently. Movement confirmed. Reversing position. Equipment engines roared as the convoy performed a harsh backward acceleration. Atmosphere clouding into the sky. And on the distant ridge, 2 opposition observers reacted to their communication instruments, delivering desperate commands. Their organized assault became useless before launch. Inside the detention chamber, Jennifer moved like a captured creature. Each second appeared like a beat she couldn't control. The barrier swung open. General Stone personally entered. He examined her extensively, subsequently spoke with steadiness. Specialist Brooks, want to clarify why my convoy just prevented driving into a vehicle interception? She remained motionless. You were accurate, he expressed. You very likely conserved 12 lives, including my existence. Her physical structure felt unstable, yet Stone's subsequent expressions carried a cautionary resonance. That constitutes twice you've circumvented procedure. If you continue executing that action, you must be accurate every instance. The desert evening across Outpost Raven was colder compared to typical conditions, yet Jennifer Brooks's clothing adhered to her back with nervous fluid. She occupied the slightly brightened operations section, a heated beverage resting unfinished beside her, while General Christopher Stone examined the references she'd documented from the exterior communication. The chamber contained odor of active apparatus and mineral particles. The primary display glowed dimly. Terrain mapping of Ridge Valley, southern high ground, plus a marked region indicating suspected opposition activity. You possessed no permission to execute that action, Stone communicated without elevating his gaze. Yet you lacked justification to know those references except you perceived them directly. Jennifer's facial muscles contracted. I experienced them, leader, exactly as I transcribed them. Stone repositioned rearward. And you comprehend that the opposition will currently recognize that someone at Outpost Raven obtained their information. You've become distinguishable. She wavered. They remain unaware it occurred through my actions. Stone's attention contacted hers, concentrated and piercing. They will comprehend. By the subsequent daylight, the documentation was completed. Specialist Jennifer Brooks was reassigned to momentary tactical installation concerning receiver examination plus external observation. It represented singular intent. She'd currently be examining opposition communication continuously. Her marking altered. Her outfit received a fresh emblem. Yet the movement transcended ceremonial elements. The communications section appeared transformed. Certain personnel granted her acknowledgement through gestures of regard. Others voiced lucky scenario as she navigated past. Major Trevor didn't attempt concealing his perpetual expression of displeasure. At 0900 periods, she occupied the exterior once more. Currently with a classified directional receiver plus a team of 2 protection operatives. She realigned the device, examining the accessible bands, detecting fragments of static plus unintelligible conversations. Subsequently, she experienced it. Outpost Raven contains a confidential supply. Identification unfamiliar. Investigate for feminine communications specialist, blonde, mid-20s. Terminate discreetly. The communication originated deep, articulated, plus excessively calm for its communicational content. Jennifer's organs converted to ice. They possessed awareness. She documented it, her pulse accelerating intensely. The protection squad glanced at her as her body tensed, yet she maintained quiet. Not currently. She extended the receiver's coverage. Extra conversations emerged. Contact inside outpost confirmed. Compensation elevated if delivered unharmed. Unharmed? The expression clung to her existence like contamination. She removed her hearing apparatus, plus advanced directly toward Stone's chamber. Stone absorbed her information without disruption. Upon conclusion, he repositioned himself ahead. You maintain dual selections. Enter defensive housing or persist in operations. I'm not going into seclusion, she communicated instantly. You persist active, you remain supervised, Stone alerted. You'll transport a hand weapon everywhere, plus you'll have somebody accompanying you regardless of preference. Jennifer expelled air gradually. Comprehended. He completed her subsequent assignment, an all-night receiver examination from a monitoring facility past the facility perimeter. Elevated area, separate, excellent for detecting extensive reach apparatus communication, plus excellent for anyone desiring her solitary. That evening, she positioned herself inside a compact rock fortification on an ascending area. Listening apparatus attached, the landscape a jagged darkness toward a pale terrain. Her consciousness transferred in the brightness of a singular work illumination. The receiver, external, rotating gradually. Periods transferred. Static, indistinct entertainment broadcasting. The distant breathing of aerial apparatus motors. Subsequently communication. Objective positioned at Bravo location until 0400. Progress from South High Ground. Rejection prohibition till penetration complete. Her circulation transformed to compressed refrigeration. She grabbed the portable receiver. Bravo location toward Outpost. I'm experiencing threatening purpose conversation. South High Ground progression. Numerous. The receiver sputtered, subsequently discontinued. Complete atmosphere. Her concentration shifted to the brightness, faltered. Electricity finished. From the darkened exterior emerged the grinding of footsteps on mineral fragments, deliberate, regulated, multiple collections. Jennifer extracted her listening equipment, positioning her palm toward the instrument at her side. She progressed toward the restricted observation opening, peering toward the evening. Silhouettes transferred versus the darker darkness of the high ground. 3, perhaps additional forms. 1 transporting a quiet apparatus. She possessed period, perhaps reduced. Her awareness proceeded. Persist in the framework or depart via the rear barrier into the exposed terrain. Subsequently via the breeze, a communication, tranquil, disrespectful, plus excessively close. Specialist Brooks, you've been examining the incorrect sources. The environment inside observation location Bravo grew heavy. the surfaces appearing to compress nearer as the communication faded toward air currents. Jennifer Brooks' heartbeat appeared excessively loud. She didn't generate reaction. She didn't progress. Via the exterior, footwear shuffled. Apparatus contacted against mineral. Somebody attempted the peripheral barrier. Her attention redirected toward the chamber corner. The portable apparatus booster rested inverted, powerless from the electrical termination. Lacking it, she couldn't notify Outpost Base. Her alternate possibility occupied her carry apparatus. She pulled the apparatus liberated, its load feeling regulated in her capable appendage. The barrier mechanisms deformed. Subsequently, an abrupt force. The framework fractured, debris clouding toward the environment. A silhouette penetrated. Substantial. Equipped, wearing a terrain covering not corresponding to her formation. His apparatus increased similarly as she descended behind the apparatus desk. The preliminary shot split proximity toward her consciousness, penetrating toward the mineral barrier. Jennifer ascended, releasing couple rapid reactions. The man reacted, striking toward the surface difficult, yet continued additional. She experienced them transferring beside the south barrier, murmuring within a vocabulary she presently acknowledged from the exterior communication. She recalled the references she documented intervals prior, recalled the technique the opposition scouts created their frameworks. They'd approached assuming she'd be hesitant, trapped. Rather, she progressed. She departed via the rear access toward the frigid terrain darkness, maintaining reduced proximity involving the minerals. Her footwear stayed noiseless versus the dust. Ahead, the high ground diminished, providing a precise perspective on the south progression. Subsequently, they appeared, a couple silhouettes advancing toward the location rear barrier. Her preparation communicated avoiding participation. Anticipate assistance. Her instinct communicated inadequate duration. Jennifer positioned the apparatus, dispersed her respiration, plus activated the mechanism. Single descended, the additional rotated toward her, releasing chaotically. She descended, the apparatus generating luminescent impact versus mineral centimeters from her leg. Her consciousness raced. She required altitude plus perspective. She scrambled toward the high ground barrier, planet fragments plus mineral disintegrating beneath her appendages till she possessed the excellent observation. Not concerning them, yet concerning the tiny bag resting in dust via the deceased person's appendage. It transported an apparatus container. She descended, obtaining the container, plus triggered it. Static. Subsequently, a transparent band. Outpost, this is Brooks, threatening individuals participating at Bravo location, South High Ground damaged, requesting immediate reaction team. The communication materialized instantaneous. Acknowledged. Brooks, strike team redirecting. Period estimate 6 duration. Maintain location. She expressed a grim acknowledgement. 6 duration represented eternities inside a physical engagement. Yet it constituted sufficient capability. The remaining threatening individual fractured via the darkness, advancing her area. Jennifer descended behind a mineral formation, apparatus prepared, she activated twice, each reverberation transferring via the canyon. The man descended, his apparatus colliding toward the dust. Quietness reappeared, interrupted purely via her irregular respiration, plus the reduced hum of the captured apparatus container. Subsequently, from the expanse, the whoosh-whoosh of aerial rotor equipment. The resonance elevated till a couple protective apparatus descended toward the high ground, their foundations striking dust in absolute synchronization. Behind at Outpost Raven, General Christopher Stone met her inside the arrival sector. Dust rotated as the rotating decelerated. "Heard you generated quite a complication up above," he expressed. She extended the opposition apparatus container. "They presented for me authority." He examined her extensively, plus presently they comprehend why they remained unsuccessful. Subsequently, surprising her, he secured a fresh emblem versus her arm. Strike team. Unseen, unheard, unbroken. Acceptance to the division, Brooks. Appears you've concluded servicing apparatus. Intervals subsequently, Jennifer occupied an exterior position, listening equipment connected, examining the airwaves. She maintained her preference for apparatus versus communication. Yet presently, each communication within the community identified her identification designation. Plus, somewhere exterior, the equivalent opposition that attempted creating her voiceless maintained examining. They maintained capability for examination. She continued processing.